Did you know that every time you use your smartphone, you're holding a piece of Isaac Newton's legacy in your hands? Indeed, Sir Isaac Newton, a titan of science, has left an indelible mark on the world as we know it. Born in the 17th century, his curious mind led him to explore and redefine the boundaries of science. Newton's contributions span a wide array of fields. In mathematics, he co-developed calculus, a fundamental tool that has since been crucial in various scientific and engineering feats. His foray into optics led to the understanding of light and color, revolutionizing how we perceive the world visually. However, it was his groundbreaking work in physics that truly cemented his legacy. Formulating the three laws of motion and the law of universal gravitation, Newton laid the foundational principles that govern everything from the simplest everyday activities to the complexities of planetary motion. So how did a 17th century thinker redefine our understanding of the universe? Let's delve into his remarkable journey. Born in 1642 in a small English village, who would have thought Isaac Newton would become one of the most influential scientists of all time? Isaac Newton entered the world in Woolsthorpe, Lincolnshire, just a whisper away from the medieval chaos of the English Civil War. His father, also named Isaac Newton, was a prosperous farmer, but sadly passed away 3 months before young Isaac was born. This left his mother, Hannah Ayscough Newton, to raise him alone until she remarried, leaving Isaac in the care of his maternal grandmother. Newton's early education began at the King's School in Grantham. Here, he was not particularly outstanding, often preoccupied with his own creative pursuits like building sundials or models of windmills. However, his academic journey took a sharp turn when his mother, after the death of her second husband, pulled him out of school at the age of 12 to manage the family farm. This could have been the end of his academic pursuits, yet fate had other plans. A former headmaster persuaded his mother to send him back to school, recognizing young Newton's brilliant mind. This decision set him on the path to higher education at Trinity College, Cambridge. At Cambridge, he was initially more interested in the ideas of modern philosophers than in the established curriculum, but soon his genius began to flourish. From these humble beginnings, Newton's curiosity about the natural world would soon ignite a revolutionary spark. Imagine achieving your life's work in just 1 year. For Newton, 1666 was that year, a year of wonders. In the mid-17th century, the Great Plague ravaged Europe, reaching its virulent hands even into the academic sanctuaries of England. Cambridge University, where Isaac Newton was studying, found itself compelled to close its doors, a decision that would inadvertently change the course of science forever. Newton returned to his family estate at Woolsthorpe Manor, not as a student, but as a pioneer on the brink of breakthroughs. In the quietude of his rural retreat, away from the bustling academic corridors, Newton embarked on a series of experiments and contemplations that would form the bedrock of modern physics. One of his most famous experiments involved a simple prism. Newton passed a beam of sunlight through this prism, watching in fascination as the white light fractured into a spectrum of colours. This experiment not only disproved the prevailing theory that colour was a mixture of light and darkness, but it also laid the foundational principles of optics. But perhaps more renowned is the anecdote of the falling apple. While the story is often told with a hint of myth, the essence captures the truth of Newton's genius. As he witnessed an apple fall from a tree, Newton pondered the forces at work. This moment of curiosity led him to formulate the universal law of gravitation, proposing that every particle of matter in the universe attracts every other particle with a force that is proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centres. These musings and experiments on gravity, light and mathematics, which included the early formulations of calculus, were not just the pursuits of a man in isolation. They were the silent dialogues between Newton and the universe, a conversation that penned the first few lines of what would become a sprawling discourse in science. In isolation, Newton's genius unfolded, setting the groundwork for monumental discoveries. Beyond academia, Newton's expertise even extended to the national economy. In 1696, Isaac Newton, already renowned for his groundbreaking theories in physics and mathematics, embarked on a different kind of challenge as he was appointed the Warden of the Royal Mint. His role soon escalated to that of the Master, a position he held with remarkable acumen. Newton's tenure at the Mint was not merely administrative. He threw himself into the reform of the nation's currency with the vigour one might expect from a man who solved the mysteries of gravity. At the time, counterfeiting was rampant, a serious issue that threatened economic stability. With a meticulous eye and a relentless pursuit of justice, Newton personally saw to it that counterfeiters were found and prosecuted. His dedication even led him into the underbelly of criminal London, as he gathered evidence himself. It's said he disguised himself during these undercover operations to interact with suspects and gather first-hand accounts. While managing the nation's coins, Newton was also polishing his masterpiece, the Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, or simply Principia. In this revolutionary work, completed in 1687, Newton formulated the laws of motion and universal gravitation. These laws not only explained the motion of objects on Earth, but also unravelled the motion of planets, moons and comets in outer space. The Principia is a beacon of scientific thought. Newton introduced his 3 laws of motion, which have become a cornerstone in the fields of physics and engineering. The first law about inertia, the second on acceleration, and the third on action and reaction together laid down a framework that scientists have relied on for centuries. Moreover, his law of universal gravitation bridged the heavens and the earth in a unified theory of how objects attract. With the publication of the Principia, Newton didn't just write a book, he set the very foundations of classical mechanics. Even the brightest minds aren't without their shadows. Sir Isaac Newton, a colossus in the realm of science, was also a figure central to several controversies and intense rivalries that marked his career. Among the most notorious was his clash with Robert Hooke, a fellow scientist of the Royal Society. The feud began subtly over ideas related to light and optics, but soon escalated. Hooke accused Newton of stealing his ideas about light and planetary motion, which deeply affected Newton. The conflict reached a point where Newton almost withdrew from publishing his groundbreaking work, Optics. Another significant chapter in Newton's life was his rivalry with Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. This dispute, however, revolved around something even more foundational, the invention of calculus. Both men arrived at their conclusions independently, yet the priority dispute over who invented calculus first became a bitter argument that consumed much of their academic lives. The Royal Society, under Newton's presidency, conducted an investigation which concluded that Newton was the true originator. However, this did not quell the controversy, as many outside of Britain supported Leibniz. These disputes were not mere academic squabbles, but battles for legacy and intellectual property, reflecting the intense pressure and competitive nature of scientific discovery during Newton's time. These disputes show a human side to Newton, embroiled in the defense of his work and recognition of his contributions. Newton's laws didn't just stay within the confines of his time, they propelled humanity into the future. Sir Isaac Newton, a titan of science, laid down the laws of motion and universal gravitation which became the bedrock upon which modern physics was built. His insights not only explained the motion of celestial bodies, but also how the same principles govern movement on Earth. This revelation was crucial, setting the stage for the Industrial Revolution. Imagine the steam engine, the locomotive, and countless other machines all owe a nod to Newton's principles, which helped engineers harness the forces of nature to power new technologies. Beyond mechanics, Newton's work in optics and mathematics spurred further scientific endeavours. His development of calculus opened new vistas in the scientific landscape, equipping scientists with the tools to describe dynamic change in a way that was previously impossible. This mathematical innovation alone has underpinned centuries of progress in physics, engineering and economics. Generations of scientists have walked the path Newton charted. Albert Einstein, for one, stood on the shoulders of Newton when he developed the theory of relativity. Einstein himself noted that Newton's work was a necessary precursor to his own, a foundation so solid that the edifice of modern physics could be constructed upon it. Newton's legacy isn't confined to the lofty realms of professional science. His influence permeates general education, where his laws are among the first things students learn in physics, illustrating fundamental truths about the way our universe operates. The clarity and elegance of his theories make them accessible entry points for budding young minds exploring the wonders of science. Moreover, Newton's knighthood in 1709 underscored the societal recognition of the importance of science and its practitioners, setting a precedent for the honor and respect afforded to scientists today. Isaac Newton once said, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Today we stand on his." From the apple that supposedly fell from a tree to the smartphones in our pockets, Newton's ideas continue to shape our world. Isaac Newton, a name synonymous with the very fabric of science, embarked on a journey that transformed him from a curious boy into a legendary figure whose thoughts and theories laid the groundwork for modern physics. His quest began with simple curiosity about the forces of nature and matured into profound insights that have stood the test of time. Newton's laws of motion and universal gravitation are not mere footnotes in textbooks. They are living, breathing principles that govern everything from the orbits of planets to the technologies we depend on today. His work transcends the boundaries of time, influencing not only his contemporaries, but also countless generations that followed. As we continue to explore the universe and harness technology, Newton's legacy remains a cornerstone of scientific inquiry and innovation. Isaac Newton not only discovered the laws of motion, he set science in motion, a journey that continues to this day.